I've got a question here, and I'd like some feedback from a few people, if you don't mind. The question is this: if the departure of the church happened today, obviously we'd all be giddy about that, right? We'd meet the Lord in the air and forever be with Him. The question is this: of the people on earth today, what percentage do you believe would meet the Lord in the air? And I'm not talking about people that died, centuries ago. I'm talking about the people on earth today. What percentage do you think would meet the Lord in the air? I'll take a couple responses if anybody has one. Terry? 1%, okay. Anybody else? Connie? 5%, okay. You get a few more? Karen? So, Terry, you answered first. 1% would be 80 million people. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Based on that number, would you change your guess? And where would you go, up or down? You would go down, okay? Connie, you said 5%. That's 400 million people. Would you raise your estimate up or down? Down, okay. Okay, and who said 1%? Okay, and would you raise, at 1%, you're talking 80 million people. Would you raise your number up or down? Stay the same? Okay. And 7%. Didn't get a name. Who said 7%? Ruth? Would you raise, based on 7%, you're talking 560 million people. Would you raise yours up or down, or stay the same? You would stay the same, okay? And lastly, Randy, 12.5%, we're looking at about 960 million plus. You would go down, okay? Now, God is sovereign, meaning He can do whatever He chooses at any time and any place. I think He uses death, tragedy, and disasters to bring people to a point in their life where they have to make a decision for Christ. So they either are brought closer to God or they're pushed farther away. I'll be turning 70 shortly. After 70 years on this earth, meeting and dealing with many people, I personally, and I may be wrong, I pray I'm wrong, but I personally believe that not that many will depart the earth and meet the Lord in the air. Only God knows what's in a person's heart, and this is above my pay grade, but here's an example of why I have my doubts. April 15th, 1912. Anybody tell me what happened? Go ahead. The Titanic sank. Thank you. You get an A in history, you're done for the day. Go take recess. Okay, at that time there were 2,200 people on that ship. 1,500 of those people died, and according to history, they'll tell you 724 people survived the sinking of the Titanic. Imagine you are on the Titanic. At some point, you will come to the realization that this, quote, unsinkable ship is going to sink. What goes through your mind? Based on the subject matter of the departure of the church, is anyone praying? And if so, what do you think they're praying for? Here's five choices. Number one, and let's say these people are not believers at this point in time, just for sake of argument. Would you first pray for a seat in the lifeboat? They were only told to have 14 lifeboats on the ship. They actually had 20, so they were over the standard. But there's no way in the world that would cover all the passengers. So you're praying for a seat in the lifeboat. You find out you're not going to get on a lifeboat. Next thing you do is, Lord, save me from drowning. Save me from the icy waters. The waters were 28 degrees, which means nobody could probably survive for more than 20 minutes in the icy water. Number 3, now you're making a deal with God. Lord, if you save me from this tragedy, I will fill in the blank. Number 4, is anybody praying for the eternal salvation? You're drawing a little closer to God. Number 5, at this point, where are you, God? You can see your death on the horizon. Where are you, God? Show yourself. You're now blaming God for not being there. God was there. He was listening. But what do you think he was actually listening for? Maybe he was listening for Romans chapter 10, verse 9. If you will confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and shall believe in thy heart that God raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. One passage that sort of questions how many people will join the Lord in the air at the departure of the church is Matthew chapter 7. You can turn there if you like. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 and 14. We'd like to believe that all people would be saved. Matthew chapter 7, start at verse 13. It says, Enter ye at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Verse 14, Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it.